After being together for 4 years, I got married 8 months ago at the age of 32. Everyone came to the wedding except my younger sister Victoria and my parents. The decision my parents made to skip my wedding was shocking, though Victoria's absence didn't surprise me much since we've never been close. Looking back, I should have seen it coming given our family history. I need to explain the dynamics of our family first, because nothing that happened makes sense without that context. I can't entirely blame my parents for always favoring Victoria over me. She's been exceptionally talented at virtually everything since she was born. From the moment she could walk, she commanded attention in every room she entered. She won every spelling bee, every science fair, every talent show throughout elementary school. In high school, she was class president, valedictorian, and prom queen all at once. She's tall, slender, and stunning enough that she pursued modeling during college while working toward her business dear me. I still remember when she landed her first professional modeling job during her sophomore year. My parents threw an elaborate party, inviting every relative and friend Victoria had. They framed her first professional headshot and hung it in our living room above the fireplace, where it still hangs today. That same year, I graduated with my computer science dear me. My parents mumbled something like "well done" before immediately returning to planning Victoria's next photo shoot. The contrast was impossible to ignore, even for me. After graduating, Victoria landed a position at a prestigious firm and climbed the corporate ladder with remarkable speed. By 30, she's already a senior executive with a corner office and a company car. Meanwhile, I work as a mid-level software developer at a respectable tech company. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my work and it's a solid career, but it's not the kind of job that makes parents brag at family gatherings. I'm also shorter and heavier than Victoria. Growing up, my mother made constant comments about my appearance, enrolled me in exercise programs I didn't want, and put me on one diet after another. She'd say things like Victoria never has trouble with her weight, or you could look as beautiful as your sister if you just tried harder. By high school, I'd learned to tune out these comments, but they left their mark over the years. I eventually accepted these differences. I came to terms with the reality that my parents would never take as much pride in my achievements as they did in Victoria's. What choice did I have? For years, I tried desperately to earn their approval. I took classes they suggested, joined clubs they recommended, even tried modeling briefly, which was a disaster that Victoria never lets me forget. But nothing was ever enough. I was simply the second daughter, and they were completely absorbed in Victoria's accomplishments. Sometime in my mid-20s, I stopped trying to impress them. I focused on building my own life, advancing my career on my own terms, and forming relationships with people who valued me for who I am. Honestly, things got better after that. I kept my interactions with my parents superficial to avoid conflict, knowing they were always obsessed with maintaining appearances. During mandatory holiday dinners and occasional family events, I'd smile and nod while they gushed about Victoria's latest promotion, boyfriend, or vacation destination. They didn't seem to notice my emotional distance because they had Victoria to fawn over. Then I met David at a tech conference through a mutual friend. Unlike my family, he actually saw me. He appreciated my dry sense of humor, my coding skills, and yes, even my body. From the very beginning, he never once suggested I should change or compared me to anyone else. After 4 years of dating, he proposed to me at home while we were eating takeout and watching our favorite show in the background. It was perfect. Naturally, I told my parents about the engagement last year. Their response should have been my first warning sign. There was no congratulations, just silence. Then my mother asked if I was sure I wanted to rush into things, suggesting I might want to get in better shape before the wedding. My father barely said anything at all. During our engagement party, David noticed their strange behavior, which I was too nervous to fully process at the thank you in. They spent most of the evening huddled in a corner with my mother's phone. David later told me he overheard them on a call with Victoria, who was apparently crying. He caught fragments about how this wasn't supposed to happen and how they never expected Elena to get married first. The wedding planning brought more small obstacles. My mother had already created multiple wedding Pinterest boards for Victoria, even though Victoria wasn't even engaged yet. She showed no interest in helping me choose a dress or venue. When I selected my dress, a simple but elegant A-line gown that made me feel beautiful, my mother merely commented that it was practical and suitable for my figure. I ended up working with David's mother on most of the planning. She treated me like the daughter she never had, and I'll always be grateful for that. I carefully reviewed the guest list with David multiple thank yous before sending out both digital and printed invitations to make sure nobody was overlooked. I'm certain my parents received theirs because the digital invitations had red receipts. When I realized they hadn't responded, I called, texted, and emailed them repeatedly. My messages were either ignored or met with vague responses about being extremely busy and needing to check their schedules. I was too occupied with wedding preparations to waste much energy worrying about it. David's parents were incredibly supportive, helping with everything from seating charts to flower arrangements. His sister even hosted a wonderful bridal shower for me. Nobody mentioned the painfully obvious absence of my own family. The wedding day itself was gorgeous. We had a morning ceremony in a garden setting, followed by a relaxed afternoon reception. Everyone kept saying how happy and in love we looked. But there were moments when their absence felt like physical pain, like when I noticed the empty seats in the front row, or during the father-daughter dance that never happened. I pushed through it, determined not to let their choices ruin my perfect day. After the honeymoon, I sought answers. When I finally got them on the phone, my mother launched into a long speech about how deeply hurt they were that they never received a proper invitation. She went on about how thoughtless I was, how she had always dreamed of helping plan her daughter's weddings, and how she couldn't understand why I would exclude them from such an important occasion. I was baffled because I knew with absolute certainty that we'd sent them invitations. I had the read receipts to prove it. When I pointed this out, she suddenly changed her story, claiming the invitation must have gone to an old email address or wrong physical address, even though they've lived in the same house for 30 years and had the same email since email was invented. My father's explanation was different, but equally absurd. He claimed they thought the wedding date was just a tentative plan and that we'd confirm closer to the thank you. This made no sense since our invitations clearly stated the date, thank you and location. He also suggested they weren't sure they'd be welcome because I'd been distant lately, conveniently ignoring the fact that they'd been distant my entire life. The more they talked, the more I realized they were lying. They weren't confused about invitations or dates. They chose not to come, and now they were scrambling to create excuses that would preserve their lineage as good parents. I told them how hurt I was and ended the call. Over the following weeks, I heard through various family members that my parents were spreading a different version of events. According to them, it deliberately excluded them from my wedding to make myself look like a victim. They claimed I was jealous of Victoria's upcoming perfect wedding and trying to sabotage their family lineage. Some relatives believed them at first, but others started asking questions. Why would I send invitations with read receipts if I didn't want them there? Why would I call and text them repeatedly asking for their RSVP? The cracks in their story were starting to show. 2 months after my wedding, things escalated when Victoria got engaged. The announcement came with the kind of fanfare I'd come to expect. My parents posted it all over social media with captions about how proud they were and how they couldn't wait to help plan the wedding of the century. Victoria's engagement ring was enormous, the kind you see in magazines. Her fiancé Marcus worked in finance and came from old money. My parents were thrilled, not just about the engagement, but about what it represented for their social status. Within days, my mother was posting pictures of venue tours and dress shopping trips with Victoria. She shared every detail on Facebook, making sure everyone knew she was deeply involved in planning this wedding. The contrast to how she'd treated my wedding was stark and deliberate. She was making a statement, showing everyone that Victoria's wedding would be everything mine wasn't. Important, elegant, and worthy of her attention. I tried to feel happy for Victoria. Despite our difficult history, part of me wanted to be the bigger person. I sent her a congratulations text. She responded with a brief thanks and nothing more. A week later, my mother called me. Her tone was sickeningly sweet as she explained that Victoria wanted to keep her wedding intimate and was limiting the guest list to only the closest family and friends. Before I could even respond, she added that Victoria felt it would be awkward to have me there given the tension I'd created by excluding them from my wedding. I was being uninvited to my own sister's wedding, and they were framing it as my fault. The accusation was so absurd, I almost laughed. I hadn't excluded them from anything. They'd chosen not to come and then lied about it. Now they were punishing me for their own decision. I told my mother I understood and hung up. I wasn't going to beg to attend a wedding where I clearly wasn't wanted. David was furious when I told Hyan. He couldn't believe they were still twisting the narrative to make me the villain. But he'd spent 32 years watching them rewrite reality to suit their needs. This was just more of the same. What I didn't expect was how the extended family would react. Word spread quickly that it'd been uninvited to Victoria's wedding. Some relatives reached out to me privately, asking what really happened. I told them the truth, calmly and without embellishment. I explained that it'd sent invitations with red receipts, that it'd called and texted repeatedly, and that my parents simply chose not to attend. I showed them the digital receipts. I showed them the text message chains. The evidence was undeniable. One by one, family members started questioning my parents' version of events. My Aunt Sarah called my mother directly and asked why she'd skipped my wedding. My mother apparently gave her the story about not receiving an invitation, but my aunt wasn't buying it. She'd been at my engagement party. She'd seen how my parents acted. She remembered them spending the whole evening on the phone with Victoria instead of celebrating with me. Other relatives started sharing their own stories of my parents' favoritism over the years. My uncle mentioned how my parents hadn't come to my college graduation because it conflicted with one of Victoria's modeling events. My cousin recalled a family Christmas where my parents spent the entire dinner talking about Victoria's achievements while barely acknowledging I was there. The consensus among the extended family became clear. This wasn't about a missed invitation or a misunderstanding. This was about a pattern of behavior that had gone on for decades. My parents had always prioritized Victoria, and skipping my wedding was just the most blatant example. People were angry at me, not at me, but at my parents for their years of favoritism and their current attempts to rewrite history. The backlash affected Victoria's wedding planning in ways I never anticipated. Several family members who were supposed to have significant roles in the wedding started backing out. My Aunt Sarah, who was going to do a reading during the ceremony, declined. My Uncle James, who was supposed to officiate, suddenly became unavailable. My cousin Rachel, who Victoria had asked to be a bridesmaid, politely removed herself from the wedding party. They weren't doing it out of spite toward Victoria, they explained. They were taking a stand against how my parents had treated me. They were refusing to participate in what felt like a celebration of favoritism. My parents were blindsided. They'd expected everyone to go along with their narrative, to treat Victoria's wedding as the Ramond event they'd been dreaming of while quietly forgetting about mine. Instead, they were facing real consequences for their actions. They tried to smooth things over, calling relatives and explaining that I was exaggerating, that there had been a simple misunderstanding, that I was just jealous. But nobody was listening anymore. Too many people had seen the evidence. Too many people remembered their own experiences with my parents' biased treatment. Victoria herself seemed oblivious to why people were dropping out. According to family gossip, she was furious that her perfect wedding was falling apart. She blamed me, naturally, claiming I was poisoning the family against her. She posted cryptic messages on social media about fake family and people who can't handle success. She called me once, screaming that I was ruining her special day out of jealousy. I calmly told her I hadn't done anything except tell the truth when people asked, and that if she had questions about why people were upset, she should ask our parents. She hung up on me. The situation reached a boiling point at a family barbecue my uncle hosted. My parents showed up expecting normalcy, expecting everyone to move past the drama and focus on Victoria's upcoming wedding. Instead, they were met with cold shoulders and pointed questions. My Aunt Sarah asked my mother directly why she had lied about not receiving my wedding invitation. My Uncle James asked my father why he had chosen to miss his daughter's wedding over something so petty as birth order. My parents tried to deflect, but they were cornered. Everyone was tired of their excuses. My mother became defensive, her voice rising as she insisted they'd done nothing wrong. She claimed I'd changed since getting married, that David had turned me against the family, that I was spreading lies to destroy Victoria's happiness. My father stayed quiet, which was somehow worse than if he'd joined in. His silence felt like complicity, like he knew they were wrong but was too proud to admit it. The barbecue ended early with my parents leaving in a huff, claiming they weren't appreciated and that the family had turned against them for no reason. In the weeks that followed, more details emerged about Victoria's wedding struggles. The exclusive venue they'd secured through family connections was suddenly unavailable due to a scheduling conflict. The luxury dress boutique owned by a family friend experienced similar issues, claiming they were overbooked. Victoria was scrambling to find replacements, remoing, increasingly stressed as her dream wedding seemed to slip away. My parents tried to use their connections to salvage things, but many of those connections were family members who were now taking a stand. I felt conflicted about all of this. Part of me was satisfied to see the truth finally coming out, to have my parents face consequences for their behavior. But another part of me felt guilty that Victoria's wedding was suffering because of it. She might be difficult and entitled, but she hadn't asked our parents to skip my wedding. That had been their choice. David reminded me that I wasn't responsible for any of this. I hadn't asked family members to boycott Victoria's wedding. I'd simply told the truth when asked. If that truth had consequences, that wasn't on me. My parents made one more attempt to control the narrative by sending a mass email to the entire extended family. In it, they claimed it'd been difficult my entire life, that they'd tried their best to support both daughters equally, and that my recent behavior was proof I'd never appreciated their efforts. They painted themselves as victims of my manipulation and asked the family to stand with them during this difficult thank you. The email backfired spectacularly. Instead of garnering sympathy, it made them look desperate and dishonest. Several relatives responded with their own memories of my parents' favoritism, creating an email chain that thoroughly documented decades of biased treatment. 3 months after Victoria's engagement, something unexpected happened. She reached out to David directly. She sent Hyen a long message on LinkedIn, positioning it as a professional networking opportunity. She mentioned that she'd noticed he worked in software development and that her company was looking for consultants. She suggested they meet for coffee to discuss potential opportunities. The message was carefully worded to seem innocent, but David recognized it immediately for what it was. An attempt to get to Hyen without going through me. David showed me the message, and we both found it almost comical. Victoria has always been manipulative, but this was transparent even for her. She was trying to create a relationship with my husband separately from me, probably hoping to influence Hyen or gather information. David responded politely but firmly, thanking her for thinking of Hyen but explaining that he was happy with his current position and not looking for consulting work. He suggested she reach out to me directly if she wanted to discuss anything family-related. Victoria didn't take the hint. She sent another message a week later, this thank you and dropping the professional pretense. She wrote about how concerned she was about me, how it changed since the wedding, and how she missed the sister she used to know. She claimed our parents were heartbroken by the family division and just wanted things to go back to normal. She suggested that maybe David could help me see things more clearly, could help me understand that I was overreacting to what had been a simple misunderstanding. She painted herself as the worried sister, trying to repair family bonds. The message was manipulative in multiple ways. First, she was implying I was the problem, that it changed and become unreasonable. Second, she was suggesting David should influence my thinking, as if I wasn't capable of forming my own opinions. Third, she was completely rewriting history, turning my parents' deliberate choice to skip my wedding into a simple misunderstanding. David found the whole thing hilarious. He particularly enjoyed her assumption that her business connections or the promise of career opportunities would somehow impress Hyen. As he put it, she really doesn't know me at all, does she? We reviewed the messages together that evening. Instead of feeling offended or upset, I found myself laughing with David. There was something liberating about seeing Victoria's manipulative tactics so clearly exposed, especially when they were directed at someone completely immune to them. I realized something important about my sister through this exchange. Despite all her success and achievements, she's still that insecure teenager who needs to tear others down to feel superior. The fact that she thought she could manipulate me through my husband showed how little she understood about healthy relationships. When her direct approach to David failed, Victoria quickly pivoted to a new strategy. She started posting on social media about family bonds and forgiveness, tagging me in inspirational quotes about letting go of ramages and moving forward. She shared articles about sibling rivalry and how successful women shouldn't let jealousy divide them. Every post was a thinly veiled message aimed at me, trying to paint me as the bitter sister who couldn't move past her envy. Her followers who didn't know our history probably thought she was being ramatious. Anyone who knew the truth could see right through it. My parents doubled down on their efforts to repair their reputation. They started calling relatives individually, spinning elaborate stories about how they'd tried to attend my wedding but had gotten confused about dates, how they'd attempted to reach out, but I wouldn't return their calls, how they were doing everything possible to heal the family rift. They portrayed themselves as bewildered parents who didn't understand why their daughter was so angry. They conveniently left out every detail that contradicted their narrative, the read receipts, the repeated calls that ignored, the clear choice that made to prioritize Victoria's feelings over my wedding. Their campaign wasn't working the way they hoped. Each thank you when they tried to explain their absence from my wedding, they ended up revealing more about their true character. The more they tried to paint me as the villain, the more people saw through their deception. Family members were comparing notes, noticing the inconsistencies in my parents' stories. One version had them not receiving an invitation. Another had them receiving it but thinking it was tentative. A third had them planning to come but getting confused about the date. The stories didn't match because they weren't true. Things came to a head at a family gathering last weekend. Someone innocently asked to see photos from my wedding. My mother apparently became visibly upset, launching into a defensive speech about how I'd changed since getting married and was trying to destroy the family. She ranted about how unremateful I was, how I'd always been jealous of Victoria, and how David had clearly turned me against them. Her outburst shocked several relatives who hadn't fully understood the situation, and it damaged their carefully maintained reputation even further. Watching my mother lose control like that in front of the family showed everyone exactly who she was beneath the composed exterior she usually presented. The irony wasn't lost on me. My parents' desperate attempts to preserve their perfect family lineage were actually what was tearing it apart. Every thank you when they tried to justify missing my wedding, they exposed more of their true nature. Every thank you when they tried to paint me as the problem, they revealed their own bias and favoritism. The more they tried to control the narrative, the less control they actually had. People were choosing sides, and increasingly, they weren't choosing my parents' side. Even my father's brother, who'd always stayed silent to keep the peace, recently apologized to me. He said he was sorry for not speaking up sooner about how they'd treated me over the years. He and his family have decided not to attend any of Victoria's wedding-related events. They're not angry at Victoria herself, he explained, but they can in good conscience participate in what feels like a celebration of the same favoritism that led to them skipping my wedding. His support meant more to me than he probably realized. It validated that what I'd experienced wasn't in my head, wasn't me being sensitive or jealous. It was real, and it was wrong. I haven't responded to any of this directly. I haven't defended myself or counterattacked. I've simply let the truth speak for itself. Victoria and my parents keep revealing more of their toxic behavior. Every thank you when they try to manipulate the situation. It turns out that all those years of staying quiet, of putting up with their treatment in an attempt to keep the peace, was really just enabling their behavior. By finally standing up for myself and being honest about what happened, I've allowed others to see what I'd been dealing with for decades. David said it best. He told me that my parents had built a facade of the perfect family over many years, but it was built on emotional manipulation and favoritism. It was always going to collapse eventually. My wedding just happened to be the catalyst. The structure was already unstable. I just stopped holding it up. Personally, I'm doing better than I ever have. I'm no longer expending energy trying to earn my parents' approval. I'm not stressed about managing Victoria's emotions or maintaining their perfect family lineage. For the first thank you in my life, I'm free from the constant pressure to measure up to an impossible standard. My relationship with David has only remained stronger through all of this. His family continues to treat me with the love and respect I never got from my own. I've built friendships with people who value me for who I am, not for how I compare to someone else. Victoria's wedding is in 3 months, and from what I hear, it's become much smaller and less elaborate than she'd planned. Several vendors have backed out, key family members aren't participating, and the guest list has shrunk significantly. My parents are apparently stressed and embarrassed by how things have turned out. Victoria blames me for all of it, refusing to acknowledge that the consequences they're facing are the direct result of their own actions and years of favoritism. She still posts on social media about her perfect life and upcoming perfect wedding, but anyone paying attention can see the cracks in that facade too. I've learned something valuable through this entire experience. Sometimes the best revenge isn't taking action at all. It's simply stepping back and letting the truth be known. It's refusing to participate in dysfunctional dynamics and allowing others to see those dynamics clearly. It's building a life so full of genuine love and support that the toxic relationships from your past can't touch you anymore. My parents built their world on maintaining appearances and controlling narratives. I've built mine on honesty, genuine connection, and surrounding myself with people who lift me up rather than tear me down. Looking back on everything, I don't regret how I handled this situation. I could have stayed quiet. I could have accepted my parents' excuses and pretended their absence from my wedding was somehow justified. I could have continued playing my role as the second-choice daughter who quietly accepts whatever scraps of attention she receives. But I chose differently. I chose to acknowledge my worth. I chose to be honest about what happened. I chose to prioritize my own happiness and the family, in building with David over maintaining a false peace with people who never truly valued me. My parents are still trying to salvage their reputation, still calling relatives and adjusting their story, still insisting they did nothing wrong. Victoria is still playing the victim, still claiming I've poisoned everyone against her, still refusing to see how her and our parents' actions led to this situation. But I'm done caring about their perspective. I'm done trying to make them understand. I'm done waiting for an apology that will never come. I've moved on, and for the first thank you in my life, I'm genuinely happy with the family I have, the one I chose, not the one I was born into. The truth is, sometimes you don't need to fight back against people who wrong you. Sometimes you just need to stop protecting them from the consequences of their own actions. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply live well, love deeply, and let their own behavior speak for itself. That's what I'm doing now, and it feels like freedom.